Well, this is John Black, Super Chemist. Is the deep state of monarchy? We are in part, I think, 18. Before I go on, I want to reiterate what I'm saying, because it sounds like I'm saying one thing and I'm not. I'm saying this, okay? I'm not saying that there was some plan, for Samuel Hinckley to come over to the Americas and form a deep state democracy. You know what I mean? And overthrow the king, and get rid of king's rule in America. I'm not saying that. They just came because things were bad in England, right? So weather was bad, making crops yield, be low. People were going hungry. No one could work. The economy was going to crap. And they also realized that the monarchies were going out. People were starting to get rid of monarchies globally, okay? And there's a lot of opportunity in the Americas, right? They have no power because it's just the low royals, right? They have no power. They just have money in England. So they thought, well, I'll go to the Americas as an arm for the king. You know what I mean? And I'll have more power there because the king is in England and I'm in America. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like, I'm saying they had this plan from the get-go. No. I'm saying their plan from the get-go, Samuel Hinckley, when he came over to America, was to be faithful to the king and have his family, just like all, elite families. They have family members that succeed. You know what I mean? They have an extra edge being rich. And they teach their kids, hey, you are rich, you can be rich, do it. You know what I mean? They encourage them to succeed more than most other families. So I'm saying that they came over with good intentions, at least compared, towards the king, right? Just like the Italian mafia, right? When they came over, those first Italians, they didn't come over saying, I'm going to make my own mafia and flip off the Italians in Italy. No, when they came over, they said, I work for the Italians in Italy, and I'm going to have a lot of control in America because I'm over here running things, but I'm just an arm of the Italian mafia in Italy, And what happened? A couple generations go by, the Italian mafia in America starts being bigger. They're like, what? We don't need you people in Italy. Why are you telling us, And then they started giving the people in Italy less and less more of the money, because they were like, hey, you don't have poor power over here. Well, it was the same way with the kings, The lower royals came over to here to get prosper, get money, and they had good intentions to stay with the monarchy. But as they are here, let's say they come in the 1600s, right? The early 1600s. By late 1600s, you can see that the American colony, they want to go to war. They don't want to be under the king's rule, right? And then they see more and more over that 50 years, more and more kings being, beheaded and put their heads on the pikes, right? That's where they came up with the plan, okay? They had already, because I understand people were probably thinking, well, that's what happens when you're rich. You infiltrate high, official jobs, and you do. That's how things work, man. It's not just because they're, some kind of plan or whatever. That's just life. Okay, I can get that to a point. Okay, but yeah. So when they came over here for that reason, then they came up this idea. Well, since they're going to get rid of the king, we can force this revolutionary thing, this revolutionary war. We'll pretend that we're going to do a monarchy, but in reality, we're just going to put all our relatives in top positions, and we're going to run everything, okay? And that's what happened. And the lower royals in the USA, they saw how the monarchy was failing, all right, and in other countries failing, and it was a great idea to start a revolutionary war and pretend that it was all about democracy but in reality it was just to set up a deep state monarchy. Okay? And I'm not saying then from then on all these people know, all these royals know what's going on. No. It's just the top royals. Okay? I don't even think the top royals have actually ever been a president. I think that would be beneath them. You know what I mean? Why would you, if you're king, it's like being a president and then you go down to being a governor. You're not going to do that. But, yeah, so I think there's the deep state has a deep state within the deep state, and that's the royals and they use the government like the CIA and that to track their family, right? And the people that aren't in the deep state, you know what I mean? And if they see someone that has, charismatic, or they're in politics and they're crooked, or they have mental problems so they can MK Ultra them, or they can use them to, help them advance to be president or whatever, and, use them as a puppet. I think that's like Jimmy Carter. I think he was just he's a royal, but I think he was just a puppet. He knew he was a puppet for the deep state. He didn't even realize that they were using him because he had royal blood. George Bush, Cheney, Obama? No. These people know they're royal, okay? And they know that the deep state is about royalty, okay? Yeah. So there's a difference, all right? And it's not like they all know and they go to, monthly cookouts and they all know they're royals and blah, blah, blah. No, that's only up the top, the very top. And those people, we probably don't even know them because they don't lower themselves to be president or vice president or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I think George Bush, Obama, Cheney, I think they're the middle royals, right? And then you got your low royals that don't know what's going on, like Jimmy Carter. They follow the program so they can get their mega money and stuff, or because they're blackmailed, you know what I mean? But they're just royals that are puppets, you know what I mean? So not like I'm saying everyone knows what's going on. No. And I'm going to get into why I think this, because this is crazy. But, and also I wanted to bring up the eugenics. When I was saying how they believe in eugenics and they're, breeding themselves basically, it goes against what royalty really does, which is inbreed, because they're inbred. They don't want to mix their royal blood with common dirty blood, you know what I mean? That's still true today, but the way they get around that, because they know that they can't be that way or they'll just be inbred, retarded people eventually, you know what I mean? So what they do is when they see a George Soros, or they see a J.P. Morgan, or a J.D. Rockefeller, is a genius, right? Because these people are economic geniuses, all right? They're like Einsteins, but when it comes to economy. They will marry into that, they will bring them into the fold, marry into them, and now they have become part of the monarchy, right? By just intermarrying so much, right? But since they're only having sex with good stock, that's what I say it's eugenics, you know what I mean? They won't pick just some random person. It's got to be like a Rockefeller who has good DNA of intelligence, that passes on intelligence. That's why it seems like they're all the people who invent stuff. They're the people who are the athletes, the Olympics people, it seems like. Why are they all so athletically? Because eugenics. They're using that. They're not even using it on purpose, really. It's just a fact that if you're going to only marry into people that are so successful, their DNA already is good, you know what I mean? So that's how it's eugenics in that way, okay? Yeah, if you only marry families, if you're royal and you keep you only have sex within your royal family, but you also have sex with anyone who's related to Einstein or anyone, you know what I mean? Then obviously you're going to have good children. You're going to have smart children, athletic children, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So anyways, look at this thing here that I have up here. Remember I kept saying it's 86% of the time in the whole the whole history of this country, right, from 1789, when we started our constitutional republic, and George Washington was voted into office in 1789, up until 2017, when Trump became president, because Trump put a wrench in the machine. So I don't count Trump or Biden. They're just off the table, right? So that's 228 years total. 200 years of that 228, there's been a royal with the same, not just a royal, but a royal with the same exact bloodline, okay, 86% of the time as president or vice president or both. 86. I now found out that Andrew Jackson, right, these are the 5 presidents and 5 vice presidents, or 6, I mean, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 presidents and 6 vice presidents. Those are the only times during our history of our country where there hasn't been a royal in one of those 2 positions. Andrew Jackson is still, he is not a royal. I'm convinced he's not. He's not. Martin Van Buren is, and he used to be, and next he becomes president. That's how I knew that I just didn't realize that he was vice president. So now I know that he used to be vice president, so I took Andrew Jackson off of the thing, right? Because I'm not saying 86% of the time the president is royal. I'm saying 86% of the time either the president or vice president or both is, you know what I mean? So now it's down to 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 228 years, and only 5 times there's been a president or vice president that that wasn't having the same exact royal bloodline. Okay, now that takes that 86% up to 88%. 88% of the time. And keep in mind, I haven't looked into these that much, so I'm sure that at least 1 or 2 of these I'm going to cross off the list again. You know what I mean? 88%, you might as well say 90% at that time. 90% of the freaking time in the whole history of our country, everyone's been royal. Except these 5 times. Okay? Isn't that crazy? Is that a coincidence? Okay, and you might say and you might say that, hey, that's what happens. Rich people, they gravitate to the top. They're obviously going to be in the top. But really? This one family, okay, so that's, okay, you can even at 88%, you could have that argument. Hey, rich people gravitate to the top. They have privilege. That's going to happen. Okay, let's say that's true, okay? Now, I'm going to go over this, and it's kind of going to be a repetition thing, but if you listen to it and you're like, I've already heard you say that a couple times, please listen to it again, because I'm going to go into and make it even longer. Like this pattern of 2 people or 3 people. Now I'm going to take it into 4 or 5 people. Okay, I'm going to stretch this pattern so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, because maybe this is a coincidence. 88%, maybe. But what about this? Okay, there's only been 10 presidents that haven't been of the royal bloodline. Okay, 10, and we see here 5 of those times he didn't have a vice president, meaning the other 5 times they had to have, you know what I mean, or whatever. But let's look at these names, right? 10 of them. James Monroe was the first one in history that wasn't a royal. He was the 4th president. Then you got Biden. Then you got Clinton. Okay, all 3 of these are puppets. James Monroe, if you don't know, he's actually a bigger puppet than Biden and Clinton, okay? He makes them look like they're not puppets. That's how much of a puppet he is. I mean, it's so obvious. So those 3 are taken off of the list. They're puppets. Nothing's going to happen to them, right? Now there's the next 3 people. Polk, Chester Arthur, and Andrew Jackson. I didn't investigate them, so I'm not going to talk about them, okay? But that leaves 4 people, right? Because 3 were puppets, 3 didn't. I didn't investigate. That's 6. There's 10 total. So that leaves 4. Let's talk about these 4 on the next video, okay? And we'll just see what happens to these 4 people that aren't related to the royal bloodline.